The small business optimism index has come in kind of low. The miners are giving back some of those gains that they picked up yesterday. Let's talk about those things right now. But before we get going, smash that like button, subscribe if you've been with us a while and haven't done so yet. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description, as well as the channel bio. Let's get into it. So the NFIB Optimism Index came in a bit low. They're showing a lack of optimism among the small business owners. There came in at 91.2. The expectation was 93.5. Now, this isn't a huge data point, but it is somewhat significant in terms of the outlook that small businesses in the United States have on the economy. So it fell by 2.5 points in August, all right, erasing all of the gains that they got in July. This is the 32nd consecutive month below the 50-year average of 98. So that's a long time. That's over 2 years of consecutively being underneath the average. We're about to set a new average here. In addition, the uncertainty index rose to 92, which is the highest level since October 2020. So inflation remains the top issue among small business owners, with 24% of the owners reporting it as their top small business operating issue. So that's not surprising because a lot of small businesses have a tough time raising prices because their margins are already so thin, and their customers are they'll move with their dollars to big corporations that can absorb smaller margins for longer periods of time. So that makes sense for them to be concerned about that. So small businesses are kind of suffering. They're a little bit scared, and that makes sense because in tough times, people are going to look for the least expensive option for them to get their goods and services, and usually that's going to be with big corporations that can absorb smaller margins for longer periods of time and operate on just the razor thin profitability for the longest period of time. Or if they get big enough, in some cases, just who cares? We'll just charge what we want, and you'll buy it anyways. So we all have some products like that we are aware of, and some of them that we consume. So anyways, let's move on to the miners. So the miners, yesterday we had a nice big pop up in the miners. Today that's giving some of that back, but it is a weak give back here. So let's take a look at do some volume analysis here in this. So you can see today this volume almost non-existent. I mean, I know the day has just begun, but yeah, it's pretty tiny. Got some pretty tiny volume bars coming in so far. 3 million shares yesterday, for example, was 17 million shares, almost 18 million shares traded hands. The day before that, I got also 17 is kind of like the baseline here for the most part for the last few. Yeah, I'd say about 17-ish. Yeah, between 17 and 20 is kind of like a baseline expectation for what you're going to see on CleanSpark on any given day. And then you get little spikes up where sometimes it gets up to like 50, 60 million shares being traded here. So right now, what am I seeing right now? So right now I am looking at, let me get my favorites on here. Let me get a pen to draw. This little formation right here. This right there, that little pennant. It's making a bit of a bullish pennant. I like that. See, so you would say probably like, look, oh, there's a rising line there, so that is a bit of a concern in terms of it being a potential bear flag. But the fact that it is making a flat top there, that is making it look more like a pennant. So those tend to break to the upside sometimes. So we're going to be watching for that. This could be a bit of a fake out. This right here could be a bit of a fake out bear flag sort of looking thing. Now, it doesn't always work out that way, but the fact that it's got a flat top, if we can close above this line today, if we can close above 885, like if we can just close right above 885, maybe even 884, if we can close above that today, that would be very bullish. I'd be very happy about that development if that were to happen on CleanSpark. The fact that we are hanging out at the bottom ATR band right now is also a pretty big giveaway that we may be looking to go a little bit higher. I mean, even back here, right, we hit the bottom, we went below it, came above it, went back, tapped it again, and then went towards the yellow line. My big concern is the yellow line here at 10:08. Are we going to get above, 11:06? Are we going to get above that, or are we going to get rejected off of it and find ourselves coming lower? Let's take a look at the 2 hour real quick. Let's see where, oh yeah, so we got some buy signals on the 2 hour, and actually I like that. Here's some more confirmation of my bullish outlook of that pennant right here. That's a bull flag on the 2 hour. We've got a bull flag on the 2 hour. That bull flag on the 2 hour here could potentially take us up to, yeah, it could potentially take us up to about 1053. Now, that doesn't get us above that 1109 level that we need to get above. Doesn't get us above that, but gets us close. We are operating off of a buy signal there on the EMAs, the exponential moving average cross up here that happened yesterday afternoon, or sorry, yesterday morning, excuse me. Right now, to pull this bull flag off, we need to get above 890, like 895. We need to get up and above 895 in a couple of hours. We are bullish in a lot of ways. RSI is not overbought or anything. It's at 56. Things are setting up nice. That's not bad. That's not bad. So on the 2 hour, we dipped into the fib cloud here, and you can see if I turn off my volume, you can see we got our blue buy signal here and here. So we got 2 in a row. This one dipped a little further, but this one kind of took off. So that's not bad. We're also getting that signal on some Mag 7 stocks. So if I don't know if you use this indicator or not, it's just Fibonacci bands. So I call it a cloud because I turned it into like this shaded area for the lower and upper bands of the Fibonacci. So I've got the 2 lower bands, the 3 upper bands, and the middle band on here. When it gets into the green, usually on the 2 to 3 hour, sometimes 4 hour, but usually it doesn't go much past the 2 hour in some of the big tech stocks. That's usually an area where I'm looking for buying these things. And of course, none of this is financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. It's just kind of how I look at these charts. Anyways, we got a pennant on the daily and a bull flag forming on the 2 hour. Those two things are good. Together, those two things are good. We get above 895, we're going higher on CleanSpark. Let's take a look at BitDigital. How's BitDigital doing? I don't want to give away my 2 hour outlook. Okay, same thing. Same thing. We've got a bit of a pennant here, right? Just this. Okay, I can draw that better. Hold on. I can draw that better. Right here. There it is, like that. In this case, we are looking to get above. We're looking to get above and close above about 274. We can close above 274 on BitDigital. We are out of this aggressive downtrend and we are ready to move up to $3 again on BitDigital if that is the case. The fact that we also hit this trend line and bounced off of it, that's a good sign here, this white one right there. When we bounced off of it at like 250-ish, that was a really good sign too. And we're making this pennant, and I know you already saw it, but if we go down to the 2 hour, it's looking a bit, again, like a bull flag right here. This area right there is looking like a bull flag. And where do we need to get above to confirm that bull flag? We need to get above and close above 280 in order to get that bull flag to launch us up. So we bounced off that trend line here. We're making a bull flag. What else are we looking at? So on this bull flag, we get over the $2.80 area. Then we have room up into $3. Now, that's not necessarily the end of this bull flag. Is it? Let me take a look. Let me see. Let me draw a thing here from there to... Actually, I can do this way easier. Why am I doing it like that? Let me get my ruler out. Get my ruler and I put the midpoint to the top of that there. That means that we've got room up to about $3.13 operating off of this bull flag. So that's actually not too bad. So 313 we could pop up off of this bull flag, and that would solidly get us out of this longer descending channel that we've been in the bottom half of the ATR for a while. Now we're in the top half of the ATR. This looks good because we popped up over the midline of the ATR bands, and then we came back to test it. And then if we get back above 280, that's confirmation that we're going to go higher, possibly up to 313, probably more like $3, and then maybe a little bit longer. We're also following a bit of a trend line here, so we're bouncing off the signal on the RSI as well. So that's pretty good there for BitDigital. Let's take a look at Bitfarms. How's Bitfarms doing? Very similar sort of setup here, actually. Very, very similar sort of setup here. Now, we do need to see this candle close above like 194 today. Otherwise, this is looking more and more like a bear flag right in this area here. I know this looks very, very similar to the other ones, but it came up higher, right? It opened up higher and then dropped lower on this one for Bitfarm. So that is showing a little bit more weakness than some of the others. It's pretty subtle, but it is showing slightly more weakness than the others. So let's dig down into the 2 hour and see how that looks here for this bad boy. Let's see, 2 hour, turn on my volume. Okay. That's a pretty deep one. Yeah. Yeah, see how this big candle kind of came through here in the pre-market. Now we do need to get, if we can get above this candle here, above 195, yeah, above 195, and that negates this big ugly candle there. For Bitfarms, we are operating off of a bearish move here on this MACD indicator down here, the easy entry exit. So yeah, we need to hold. where we are. So we can't go any lower than we went at 188. Like that's the lowest we want to see, and we want to see above 195. Above that, then this is negated in terms of that bearish sentiment that came through on the pre-market move there. And then we have room up to like 213 to 220 on Bitfarms once that happens. Let's take a look at Mara. How's Mara doing? Mara is, oh, that's not terrible. I don't hate it. Don't love it. Not great. Let's get in here, dig in. Let's see. Whoop. There it is. Okay. So this isn't the worst. It's not the worst. It's not great. I'm not going to pretend like it's great. It's not great. This RSI needs to get above this signal line at 43 to feel a little more bullish about this move. This is showing some bearishness in that MACD down there. We are hitting resistance right now on it. This is looking more like a bear flag right there. That look there. Let's dig a little bit in here and see what how bad that is. How bad is it? You know what? It's not the worst. It's not the worst. We're getting a bit of a megaphone here on the lower time frames. And I bet you if I drill down to an hour, it's even worse. Let's take a look here. No, it's not. It's just been the last few hours that have been kind of rough here. So we're creating something of a flat top here, okay? But we are making lower lows on that flat top. So it's a flat top with lower lows coming through. So it's getting wider on the bottom. So you see it's getting wider on the bottom and remaining relatively flat on top for hours now since yesterday. That's not great, especially since we came off this ascending channel and we didn't really break it to the downside right away, and it kind of went sideways, and then it came down back to the bottom of that channel and back up again. So not fantastic. On Mara, if we can get above this 1485 level and close some candles above that, we do have room up to like 16 on this. Really, honestly, not a lot is in our way. I mean, we do have some of this back here, but in terms of the formation that we came off of, not a lot in our way up to about 16 bucks on Mara. If we fail there, we could come back down to this lower trend line. And as long as we hold that lower trend line and keep coming back up to this line up here, we're stuck in like that megaphone sort of formation. It's a bit of an ugly one, but it's there. And that's what we're looking at right now in that respect. Let's see. What about this channel here? Did we ever get back to the bottom of this channel right here? Not really. Okay, so I'd be watching this one too. So we could come back to about 1427 here with this ascending channel here meets this descending trend line there. We could come back to about that 1425 and then come back up and a few hours later back up to 1485 again, which would be the middle of that ascending channel. And once we get above that, so if we can get above that and start trading, even if we just stay in the lower half of this ascending channel, we will eventually break this 1485 level, and then that'll give us room up to the upper half of that channel, which can drag us up to about $16 on Mara. So Mara has got a bit of a longer road ahead of it right now in terms of how it looks on the chart, but it has potential for bullishness, but I wouldn't be surprised if it came down and tested that like 1430, 1440 area before trying to make any moves up as well. It's making a weaker move down, up. Like it's getting a doji right now. Volume's been very, very consistent, so I'm not expecting to see anything crazy come out of here. Let's take a look at IREN. How's IREN doing today? IREN is up 0.7%. That's nice. I actually don't hate this as long as price holds above, honestly, as long as price holds above $7, I'm pretty happy with IREN. It's got to hold above that $7 level. We're at 46 on the RSI. It crossed up over the signal line there on my little indicator down here. You can see these red arrows are tilting up, trying to get up to this line here. And once it gets up to that line there that you see on the screen right there, it'll turn green, and that'll be like a let's go sort of signal there. And I don't hate this. I don't hate this at all. Let's take a look here. We are still operating off of that EMA cross down. Not great. We're right at VWAP. So, I mean, we're always right at VWAP on the daily because I have it set to session. Let's move down to the 2 hour here. Let's move down to the 2 hour. How's the 2 hour looking? It's looking very similar to Mara. It's looking very similar to Mara. It's got to hold over $7. Okay, it must hold over $7. And it wants to get above 725. Above 725. Ooh, we don't have a lot of room because we got this resistance right here. We're going to hit this this little like iceberg right there from August 28th, right at 751. So above 725, we gotta chew through 750 Let me turn on a volume profile. Let's see how that, like that might help me a little bit here in this particular situation. Oh yeah. So look right here, 750. Boom, we hit that iceberg. So we have to stay above $7. We must stay above $7. You see the largest amount of volume there, and we will get hit at 750, where we will struggle, and we will get some slow growth all the way up to like 774, and then we've got room all the way up to $8 once we do that. So it's going to be a bit of a fight there for IREN to get any higher than where it currently is right now. We're in a pocket. So there's going to be a lot of whipsawing around between $7 and 750. And as it gets further, it gets tighter around 736, and it fights. And then there's quite a lot of volume all the way up to about 775, and then there's a pocket again where it can speed ramp up to $8. So if we can get above 775, we're going to hit $8. That's basically just how that's going to work out there. On the 2-hour. Let's look at the daily. Let's see how the volume profile looks on the daily. Again, we're in a pocket. Again, we have to stay above $7. 735, we get hit, and we have just tons of volume all the way up to 774 before it opens up on the daily. And once it opens up there, once we get above 774, we get a little bit of a speed bump at 8, and then we're free and clear all the way up to like $12 once we get over $8 on IREN. So that's what we're looking for. And honestly, it's going to be this trend line right here. Let me go ahead and draw you a trend line. This one going about there. This trend line here, let me make that one, let me make it like a gray. There we go. That trend line right there. That's what I'm looking for. That thing pops off above this thing. Whew, we're going to be having a very, very good time. So let's move on to the next one. Let me turn off my volume profile for now. Let me just, oh yeah, I can't do that. Okay, let's take a look at HUT. How's HUT doing today? HUT, that's it. Okay, it's on the daily. Great. Let me turn off the VWAP on here. That's for day trading. I don't want to deal with that right now. I did already do a pretty good day trade. I took a break while recording and did a pretty good day trade on AVGO. I'll show you that at the end there. That's what I use that VWAP for, though. Anyways, not always, but often. HUT is showing me a bear flag. HUT is showing me a bear flag, and I'll show you what I'm seeing on that bear flag right here. That's my bear flag. If we start seeing price get anywhere below this red candle right here, so basically anywhere below $9.07 or 6 cents, 907, 906, anywhere below that, we're going lower on HUT. And how much lower we're going? Honestly, probably down to like $8 to 775. Between $8 and 775 is where we're going on HUT if it gets below that $9.76 area. And how am I determining that? I'll show you right now. So one, we got a bear flag, right? We got a bear flag. And so basically our area of largest red volume currently, I mean, we're below all the others, right? Our lowest, we're below all the other volume spikes of negative volume, right? Way below it. And you can see right here on here, let me turn off all my other indicators so you can see this clearly. This right here. See this volume spike right here on June 28th, which the candle body had a low of $14.99. Let me mark that on the chart there, $14.99. Once we got above that and closed beneath that, look at that. Look what happened. As soon as we broke away from it, boom, down and then down and down and down. That's because this was like the breaker. This was the breaker. See this volume bar here? That was like the breaker bar right there. And that was the area of highest volume for a while, right? And as soon as we got below it, that was basically and like this screwing around here, these 3 days right here, July 30th, 31st, and August 1st of 2024, those 3 days right there, that was the fake you out last chance to get off the train sort of scenario there. And that was June 28th. Yeah, that was the day. June 28th was our highest volume of selling pressure. As soon as we got below that, boom, we were taking off. We were on the way down. On the way up here, once we were up higher there, let's see here. There's another volume spike right here. See this one right here? This was another. This is July 15th. And as soon as we got below all that buying pressure, that was another speed ramp, right? So basically, as soon as you get above or below areas of significant volume, that's where you see significant drops. Like this was signal that we were going to go down and test this bar here, right? And we did that immediately and paused for 3 days. And then we got below it, paused kind of for 3 days just below it, and then it was off all the way down on HUT. So immediately, in our immediate present closest candles, our highest volume that of selling pressure that we need to stay above is 906, 907. Now, it's not as much as compared to many others, but it is the next one that is closest to us that has like any significant selling. That like this one, I guess this is even too, but it comes to the same price, right? 906, 907. So once we get, if we get below that again, we're going to have a bad time. Now let's take a look at 2-hour. 2-hour is showing a bull flag, so that's not bad. Okay, okay, okay. I don't hate this. I don't hate this. So we had a bottom, and we're above the neckline on that bottom, which is about that. I mean, that's a very bendy one, but above that neckline, we came above it, retested it, and we're bouncing. That's a good sign. So even though that is a bear flag, there are good signs on the 2-hour. The 2-hour is in bullish territory on the RSI. We just did get a bear signal on the on this MACD indicator down here. So that's not ideal. So we will want to watch this. We will want to watch this. It may come back to test this neckline down at 953 before trying to move back up. But like I said, if it gets below 907, 906, that is invalidated and it's going lower. And that's all I got to say about HUT right now. All right, let's take a look at, let's do WULF. WULF, I don't like this. Ooh, I don't like what I'm seeing on WULF right now on the daily. Okay, so WULF on the daily. I don't like this little collection of candles right here. I don't like that. I hate these two inside bars. I hate those. Those are ominous. I don't like that. So this formation here, like how we came down, came up to the top of this candle here, failed with significant volume, higher than the volume that we'd seen for many days here on September 6th, and then two inside bars with look how much buying. Okay, let me show you something here on the volume. So we're gonna do a little volume analysis right now. Look at this candle right here. We're gonna zoom in real close on this bad boy. Okay, these two candles right here, these two. Whoop, those two. All right, look how big this candle is. Okay, see that? How big that candle is? How big that volume is? Let's make this easier to see. How big this volume is right here on September 6th. How big this candle is. Look how big the volume is here for September 7th. And look how tiny that candle is. Look how much the buyers had to fight in order to get that tiny little candle. That is super duper ominous. Now we're looking at this candle here. If we come down below like this wick here, if we get down on this low wick down here, and this volume bar is small, that shows that the buyers basically have given up. So we're watching this trend line right here. We're watching this trend line right there. We're watching that. We get below that trend line, this is a bear flag. It's a confirmed bear flag. We get below that. Okay. We get below that, we're coming all the way back down to 330 on WULF. On the opposing side, we get above this one right here, and we're not doing so bad. We're not out of the woods. Let me make that gray. Let me make that grayer. Okay, we're not out of the woods, but it is working towards invalidating that. Like we really, really need to get above this candle from September 6th, which means we need to get above $4.23 to really try to invalidate this downward pattern that we are currently in on WULF. That does look like it wants to go a bit lower. Okay, if there's any bad news, it's going to do it. And of course, none of this is financial advice or suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. Just what I'm seeing on the charts here at the Trade Cave for informational and entertainment purposes. Anyways, moving on. Let's take a look here. Buying pressure. Yeah, okay. So we do have an area right here. This big wicked candle right there, 357. That's going to be an area where we struggle. Let's take a look at the volume profile. How does this thing look? Yeah. Yep. Look at this. 379 right there. We get below 379, there's nothing but air all the way down to as a cliff all the way down to 228. Now, I'm not saying we're going to get all the way to 228, but if there's anything like to rattle this stock, to like make people fearful in this stock, it's going to drop you pretty hard from where we currently are. We are sitting at a cliff for volume. And there's not too much in the way on the way up here. Like, it's not terrible. Let's look at the 2-hour. Let's look at the 2-hour. See how the 2-hour is looking. 2-hour. Ooh, yeah. See how this candle here took out this volume, this big green volume here from the other day? Took it out pretty decisively, and now we're making an inside bar here. We get one more inside bar here on the 2-hour on the WULF, and then peaks below 392, 391 at all. I'm looking forward to test this trend line. It tests that trend line and breaks. I'm looking forward to come back down to this line down here, at least 361, like minimum on that. If that's the case, this is looking like a lower high right here. This is looking like a lower high. So I would not be surprised to see a lower low come in on this right now. So that is a little bit bearish looking on Wolf for the short term. For the short term, of course, this is all short term. It's all short term. Long term, I think it's going to go up. Like we get above 496, sky's the limit. That's what I'm saying there. Get above 496, we're crushing it. But we are, we have to contend with 436 up here too at the mid ATR band. That's going to be rough. That's going to be a rough one for us. So that's what we're looking at Wolf right now. Let's look at CORZ. CORZ is trucking along. I don't hate this at all. Don't hate this whatsoever. We're getting, and the upside of this descending trend line or channel here, we got to get above 1027. That looks good. This big area of red volume here from August 13th is like our biggest, scariest area here. If we were to fall, this is an area where I would expect us to fall to about 844 to 830. If we were to fall, I don't see us falling necessarily right now. Is there any like big major players we need to get ahead of right now, or just stay ahead of right now on here on the volume? Not really, not particularly. Okay, let's dig in a little bit. All right, let's dig into a 2 hour. Let's look at the 2 hour. CORZ 2 hour. Okay, 2 hour on the CORZ. We're right in the middle of a thick chunk of volume here. This thing's going to have a hard time kind of moving either way right now. I wouldn't be surprised to see some dojis for a little while on this, unless there's like some big catalyst coming out of Bitcoin. But on the 2 hour, we are outside of this descending channel, which is good. The volume profile, I don't really see anything too concerning there right now. I might need to drill down a little further to really get a vibe. Yeah, okay, there we go. So we got to hold above 990. Okay, below 990, we have room all the way down to 955, but we do have support at 965 on the way down to 995. We do have a lot of volume ahead of us to chew through. Okay, in order to go higher, we need to get above $10 and 20 what 10.20 $10.20. We got to get above that to go much higher. The thing that I don't hate about this though is that this is something of, let me turn off because this doesn't really have any volume in the after hours. Okay, so two things. Okay, I don't hate that we're getting a bit of a pennant right there. Okay, I don't hate that particular spot of this, part of this. Now, what I do hate is this channel right here. I don't love that this is a pretty like solid up channel here. So we went parabolic here for a few hours, right? And now we're tapering off. If this starts to flatten out even more, I wouldn't be surprised to see it come back and test 965 again. So that's what I'm looking at CORZ. But we are above the mid ATR band. The upper ATR band is up at 1031. Okay. The mid ATR band is down there at 9. Let me turn off the volume profile. I think it's messing with me. It's down there at 986. So we could come as low as 986 in bounce before this becomes a bearish situation in the short term for the day on CORZ. So that's actually not too bad. I do like CORZ. CORZ looks great. It's been looking great. It's been one of the best performing charts out here for a while. As long as it stays above that 830 level, I do see this potentially making higher highs and higher lows right here. So we were making higher highs and higher lows up here, and then we came down, broke that, made a lower high, lower low. Right. I'm ignoring August 5th. That was a shock to the market. Now we made a higher high, and this looks like a higher low, and then we could make a higher high even more so there. And that would take us to up in, above $11 if we were to start making higher highs right now. And breaking out of this descending channel, which often break to the upside, is the first step to making that higher high to $11. Okay. All right, let's take a look at RIOT. Let's look at RIOT real quick. Looks terrible. No, it's not the worst. Again, pennant. This is making a pennant. If it can close above 681, we can see moves all the way up to 750-ish. If it breaks, underneath that pennant, we can see it retest 634. It's looking exactly like Clean Spark, exactly like Bit Digital. It's nothing really different going on with RIOT there. We do have some resistance in the way at 785. We are really at the bottom of the range here. I mean, RIOT doesn't have a lot of room to go much lower. So I'm not too concerned about it. We can look at the 2 hours, see if they're getting a bull flag in there out of this thing. Not really, but I do like this big tail on the bottom. I don't hate that big tail on the bottom. That volume is pretty red. So like, so the volume bar is red, but look at the tail. The tail indicates buyers. We're pushing that up. So a lot of this volume, most of that volume is buyers coming in around the 650, 660 level. So that's actually not bad. Maybe 660 is not a bad place to pick this up. Okay, so here's the bar we need to get above on the 2 hour. We need to get above this one right here. We got to crush this one right there. Boom. 743. We got to get above 743. Once we're above 743, we're going to have a much easier time getting back towards $8. right now. And this is forming something of a pretty ugly one, but a little head and shoulders, right? Shoulder, head. If we can do one more little shoulder there, whew, maybe come up to like back up to, you know, 787, $8 again on RIOT. So not the worst, not great, but not the worst. Let's do CIFR real quick. We'll take a look at CIFR. CIFR, this is a bear flag. Don't love it. Ooh, I hate that. Yeah, I hate that okay, I hate this. Two things. We came to this red bar here from 6:30 yesterday, or sorry, Friday. We came to the top of it and absolutely failed with huge red volume coming through. CIFR is going to want to come a bit lower. CIFR looks like it wants to test that 270 again before doing anything else right now. That's what that chart looks like. This does look a bit pennant-y, but based on how, so the daily looks a bit like a pennant. Not gonna lie, doesn't look bad, but it does look like it wants to test 270 before going higher based on the 2-hour chart here. The fact that we got this big red bar with big red volume, and then we got this, we came right up to it and got an even bigger bar of red volume coming through. Now, a good amount of that is buyers, right, from down here, but a good amount of it is sellers from up here. So this is a fighting candle. Look at that. Ooh, ooh, that changed dramatically all of a sudden. That's very interesting. So I guess we got to wait and see this candle close. How long does it have? 35 minutes. You're not going to see it on this episode. So if this candle can close above 290, 297, so if the candle right now on CIFR in the next half an hour can close above 297, we can move up on this thing. If it closes anywhere beneath 291, we're looking at it to come back to 270. So this thing is still in a struggle. I don't have time to cover it right now, but we'll come back and look at that another time later on. Anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description as well as the channel bio, and have a profitable day.